There are some subjects that all preachers hate to discuss. In fact, in Ephesians 5 and verse 3, Paul says that there are some sins that should not even be mentioned among you, for they ought not to be named among God's people. Now, some will use this passage as an excuse not to discuss controversial issues. But if we are really to stand upon the whole counsel of God, then we, as children of God, must speak out against all sin, regardless of how disturbing it may be for us to do so. Not too long ago, the state of New York's legislature passed legislation that permitted a woman to abort a child up to the time of that child's birth. The governor signed the bill into law, and the legislature cheered. They rejoiced over this action. Well, not too long after this happened, Virginia's recently elected governor proposed something along the same line. Now, friends, such news deeply saddens me because it tells me that our society is drifting further away from God every day. Friends, who in their right mind would rejoice over the death of a newborn infant? Yet some would cheer the death of infants seconds from being born. The so-called pro-choice movement is not really pro-choice at all. They don't want women to be presented with the facts of abortion. They don't want women to be educated as to what happens when a baby is literally ripped from its mother's womb. When women are given the opportunity to make a real choice, the majority of time they will choose life. But many women are deliberately refused access to alternative information so that abortion will not be refused. Now, these political panderers, they don't want women to have a choice. They would lose their money, but it would also take away their political power. Their power and their money depend upon their being able to legally murder babies. Friends, how shameful can you be? And then to sit there, being considered a leader, and to rejoice when a law is passed that states that a child can be murdered in its mother's womb right up to the point of its birth. Now, friends, can those who get abortions be forgiven? Well, absolutely they can. God will forgive. And it is heartening that many women who were formerly pro-choice are now pro-life. They will, however, live with the consequences of their choices and the memories of the actions that they've taken. And friends, that is a very high price to pay for sexual freedom. But God can change even the leopard spots and can bring someone through such difficult struggles to where real joy may once again be found. Friends, we need to pray for the women of our country. We need to pray for our local leaders, for our state leaders, for the federal government, and we also need to pray for those who have had abortions, that they may be healed. We need to pray that those who are in positions of leadership will see this heinous sin for what it really is. It is murder. It is the shedding of innocent blood. And we as children of God should not stand back, should not keep our mouths shut, even though this is disturbing to think about, even though it is something that we don't like to discuss. We must do so. We must speak out against this sin, because we must stand upon the promises of God. We must recognize that all life is precious, that Every person is a living soul, and they are precious to God. Friends, we want to thank you for joining us for our program today. Please consider these things that we've discussed, and have a blessed day.